How has your skill developed throughout the project? At the beginning of A-level media, I had no skills whatsoever with Photoshop, and my skills with photography and publishing were very poor. I had never worked with Photoshop, and it was a struggle as I had never been good at using technology generally, but I also was especially bad at handling a computer. Thus, Photoshop was extremely hard during the beginning when we began, and it was a real struggle for me to learn how to use a Razor Magic Wand or to even use the brushes. I had done some very basic photography in my past for ArtGCSE, but it was very simple. The media skills I have picked up since then and developed in A-level media have shown throughout my coursework how much I've actually improved. I've learned much about color, lighting, angles, and shots, and also placing props to set a mood and tone and to give a photograph a meaning. My photo shoot really showed me how my skills in photography have developed and improved during this course. I compared the magazine photo shoot to my very first photo shoot, and there's a very clear, drastic improvement. It was off the same model in a similar exotic location, yet they look completely different, and that is because I've learned so much during media A-level. I've learned so much about different angles and how just simply taking a photograph from a lower angle can instantly make a model look so much more powerful. This was a tactic I used when conducting the photo shoot. I took photographs from a slightly lower angle to make my model seem more powerful and as if she's a force to be reckoned with. I've also learned much about using color and lighting to my advantage in photo shoots. I've learned how to manipulate color and lighting, having edited my photo shoot images to make the location look more fresh and green and vivid. I did this by adding more vivid greens and pale yellow tones, and then adding a very little burnt red to add more contrast and cool the colors and provide a more natural looking shadow. I had some knowledge of colors beforehand, but never knew how to edit photographs and use color like I do now. In the photo shoot for my magazines, props were the key to creating the idea of affluence. Many fashion magazines portray affluent female models, and that was what I set out to portray my model in the photo shoot. I dressed my friend in what is considered fashionable, glamorous clothing and accessorized her in luxurious jewelry. By using props like these, I successfully portrayed my model to a standard I set towards the audience of my magazine. I had no skill in Photoshop during the beginning of A-level media course in September. I had never used it before, and during the beginning 2 months I struggled to simply remember how to even find the tools or stretch the canvas to the perfect size or to even use the history and navigator. My skills improved and developed as the course progressed. And when I began the magazine project, I was fully capable of sitting down, stretching the canvas, pasting the image, and beginning to edit it. I cropped the edges, resized it slightly to fit the canvas, positioned the model directly in the center, ensuring that she's the key focus of the magazine. I then proceeded to use a razor and magic wand to cut around the leaves so they wrapped around the masthead nicely. I really did struggle when doing this, however, but I have gained so much skill now when it comes to operating the razor and magic wand. It took a long time where I would spend hours and hours practicing with these tools, but now looking at the outcome, it was completely worth the time and energy spent. I continued to work to perfect the leaves and ensure they were shaped nicely around the masthead and that the cuts were clean and precise. I began by copying 2 layers of front cover image and then erased along the leaves on the second layer. I first roughly used the razor and magic wand to map along the leaves, crossing the ones I wouldn't include and encircling the ones I would include. Thus, it was easier for me to then later navigate between. Firstly, I used a very small eraser around the size 11 and zoomed in using the navigator till the image was merely pixels, and I could easily differentiate between the shadows and the leaves themselves. I shaped some of the odd-appearing leaves, making them appear thinner and more youthful, and I also used a stamp to correct any spots on the leaves, thus making them also more youthful and exotic and vibrant. I also used a stamp tool on the model's face to make her appear more flawless, so she resembled the models in fashion magazines that are photoshopped to seem spotless with glowing glass-like skin. I have successfully mastered the manipulation of color and how changing the color can completely change an image. For the cover page, when using Photoshop, I made the background more vivid and fresh appearing by toning the image green and yellow, but adding a slight blue and red undertone to mute the color to not appear too bright or unnatural appearing. I made the model's skin seem more glowing and glistening by brightening her face and then toning it yellow, then adding some shred of pink to make her ethereal and celestial appearing, as if she has come from a fantasy world, which most models and magazines do appear to look like. I've used Publisher throughout this A-level media course. I used it when writing about my skills and my methods. My skills in Publisher have developed slowly, as I do still struggle to this day, finding it quite complex and confusing. When writing the article for my double-page spread, I chose to use Publisher, as I did like how it managed to achieve a crisp text and how I was easily capable of changing in corrections or phrasing something differently.